member for Calgary-Klein has a question to ask.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Canadians and Americans are concerned about the cost of energy. Albertans know that prices are high because of the supply crunch created by Russia's criminal war, coupled with failed policies from left-wing governments. We know that Albertans can rise to the world's energy needs and supply responsible and reliable Albertan energy to Americans and abroad. Can the Premier inform this House about his recent trip to testify before the U.S. Senate Energy Committee? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable the Premier.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Together with the Ministers of Environment and Energy, I had the opportunity last week to make an historic presentation before the United States, the Senate Committee on Energy, to make the point about how Alberta can be the solution to the global energy crisis, particularly for North American energy security. Our American friends are facing record-high fuel prices because of a scarcity, in part because of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. This province, with the third largest oil reserves on Earth, can and must be part of the solution to displace dictator oil with responsibly produced Alberta energy.
Hear, hear. The honourable member for Calgary-Klein.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to the Premier for his efforts. Given that Albertans deserve greater market access for their responsible and reliable energy, and given that Americans deserve greater access to that very same Alberta energy, and given that we know that failed left-wing policies have left this continent's energy infrastructure underdeveloped and increased Americans' reliance on oil from world's worst regimes, Russia, Venezuela, Saudi Arabia, will the Premier tell us the response that he heard from senators when he was down in the States?
The Honourable the Premier.
Mr. Speaker, the response from American senators, I think there were 12 who attended the hearing and heard from Alberta. It was amazingly positive. Democrat Senator Joe Manchin, chairman of the committee, said, quotes, "We must work together to chart a responsible path forward that will ensure security and unlock prosperity for both of our nations," unquote. As he has said, Mr. Speaker, Alberta is a key part of the solution to both North American and global energy security. We were delighted to get our message across at the highest levels of the American capital.
The honourable member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and again to the Premier. Given that that is great news, and given that the issue of energy security is one with life and death implications for people not only in the free world, but right across this globe, and given that, to paraphrase Senator John Barrasso of Wyoming, energy must be reliable and affordable, otherwise people suffer and sometimes die. Can the Premier tell us what the outlook is for increased partnerships between America and Alberta on energy security for those who call this continent home?
The Honourable the Premier.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I informed the committee that there's currently about 300,000 barrels of unused capacity in the continental pipeline system, which we could fulfill this year, in addition to pipeline optimization, rail capacity, the pending completion of the Trans Mountain expansion, all of which could represent well over a million barrels of additional Alberta production. That means jobs in Alberta. It means more revenues for social programs here, and it means displacing OPEC oil. And I was very pleased that the committee accepted my invitation to come to Alberta as soon as they can to see how we are leading the world on responsible energy production.
Hear, hear.